Hello there. What I thought I'd talk about in this video is a quick introduction to using the LDC Via API in JavaScript. Your first port of call when working with the API is our documentation website, which is api.ldcvia.com, and it goes through in great detail all of the methods that are available to you and has some examples of how to work with each of those methods and the response data that is sent back to you when you call a method. One of the tools that I like to use when I'm working with any API is called DHC, and it's a Chrome plugin that's available from the Chrome App Store. And it's a simple way of simply entering a URL and passing data or requesting data from an API and having it put into a nice UI for you. So as an example, if we went to the LDC Via API, which is eu.ldcvia.com/1.0/whatever, we can go off and get some data. So in this case, we're going to go and get a list of all of the databases that the authenticated user is allowed to see. And to authenticate, what we need to do is pass an HTTP header called API key, and this is the key that we're going to use. So this maps onto a demo user that's on the ldcvia.com website, and he has access to two databases. So if we send that request to our servers, we get a response back that says this user is allowed to see LDC Via demo and blog, and this is the title of the database and this is the name of the database. And it's the name that we're going to operate with whenever we make any requests. So as an example, if we want to go off and get all of the collections in the LDC Via demo, which happens to be a migrated discussion database, we can copy the name of that database, and we'll change the method to collections, and we'll send that GET request, and we get sent back a collection of 3 collection names. So when we get those response back, we get the name of the collection and the count of the number of documents that that user can see. So security is being applied when you get these counts back. And then if we wanted to go off and get all of the documents within the main topic collection, for example, we can simply add that onto the URL, and we get sent back the count of the number of documents in the collection. If you want to page through, then we generate a URL for you to actually do that, or you can just generate it yourself using the start parameter on the URL request. And then finally we get an array of the actual documents that are in that collection. So in this case we're being sent back a bunch of documents that have a load of data on them. And if we want to get the actual details of a specific document, then we can simply add that onto there, change the method name to document, and send that, and we get sent back the full details of that document, including any past rich text. So we've got a body field here and a body __ past, which is the HTML representation of the full rich text field. An array of any file attachments that are on the document, reader fields, author fields, the date created, everything that you need to use to actually work with this data to build an application. So in terms of using this to work with jQuery specifically, it's a pretty simple process really. So I've created a JS fiddle here, and you're welcome to come and play with this JS fiddle in your own time. So we've got some very basic HTML where we have a databases list, collections list, a documents list, and then an individual document. And whenever we click on one of these items, we're going to populate the next level down. So in our jQuery code, we have the API key that we're going to use, the URL that we're going to go and connect to, the prefix for the URL. What happens when the page loads? We're going to call the getDatabases method. And inside getDatabases, we do a very simple jQuery AJAX request. We're expecting JSON data. We're sending a GET request. The URL we're requesting to is eu.ldcvia.com/1.0/databases. We're passing the API key as a header on the AJAX request. And when we get a response, we're simply looping through the results and outputting some HTML. And that is rendered over here, where we've got the list of 2 databases that user can see. Now if I click on LDC Via demo, that's gone and fired the getCollections method, which is almost exactly the same. We go and get the collections, pass the database name, and we process the response. Likewise, when I click on main topic, we go and get the documents. So we pass in the database name, the collection name, and we get back a list of response documents. And when we click on a document, we go off and get the document, pass in the database name, collection name, and the universal ID of the document. And we output the HTML of a simple label div list of fields that are in the document. So it's really, really very simple to work with jQuery to start building applications.